Welcome back. Let's talk today about eyesight getting worse after LASIK, which is a pretty common question that comes up. People ask me all the time, hey, I had LASIK X amount of years ago, and now my eyesight is getting worse again. But what they mean by worse is your distance vision is starting to get blurry again, the same way it was before with glasses. And first, let's talk about how and why this is happening. Why do you still get quote-unquote worsening eyesight after LASIK? And then let's address the question, can you still reverse your myopia, or can you prevent myopia after you had LASIK? Which is really important, and is something I think everybody who's had LASIK or is about to have LASIK should really consider doing long-term to keep the eyesight as good as it possibly can be. First of all, the really short version here, if you want longer versions, link Endmyopia below that explains all the biology and all the in-depth stuff. This is just the mini quick version. So basically what you have to understand first of all is that LASIK is no different than glasses or contact lenses, right? What all glasses and contact lenses do, they're clear curved pieces of plastic that move the focal plane further back in your eye, because myopia means your eyeball is elongated. Your eyeball is elongated because of lens wear in the first place, and for the light to focus on the back of your eye, on your retina, light needs to be moved back a bit. And that's what all of these things do the same exact way. So in terms of the physics, in terms of the optical properties of what's going on with any of these methods, be it glasses, be it contact lenses, be it LASIK, are all exactly the same, right? So there's fundamentally nothing different about LASIK in terms of what it does with your eyesight. It just moves the light back further in your eye. Now, if you're wearing glasses before LASIK, and if the glasses quote-unquote prescriptions were increasing before LASIK, then whatever that curve you're on, like if every year or two you needed a quarter diopter higher glasses, then that curve is not likely to stop after you get LASIK, because again, nothing changed as far as the biology of your eye, as far as the stimulus response is concerned. The exact same thing is going on, and that's another big topic. Again, check links below if you're interested in the biology of what's causing all of this. But really the short version is, if your eyesight was getting worse, if there was this, if you were charting it out, right, like how your vision is getting worse, that will continue after LASIK if it was actively going on before LASIK. Very likely, because your habits didn't change, and the stimulus created by this focal plane change from LASIK is the same as it was with glasses. So it's generally not a great idea to get LASIK if your eyesight is continually getting worse. Or it's not really worse, it's a stimulus response, but it seems like your distance vision is getting poorer, right? So don't get LASIK if your eyesight is getting worse. Until you address the bad habits, the causality of this vision getting worse and worse and worse, you don't want to get LASIK. If you already had LASIK, it's still worth understanding what's going on, because before you jump into some internet hype, unicorn farming idea of improving eyesight, you want to have a basic understanding of the biology. And the super basic version of the whole thing is the lenses, whether it's LASIK or glasses or contact lenses, move the light further back in your eye to focus on the retina, but your eye has a built-in mechanism that responds to the stimulus, and that gets a little bit more complicated, discussed in other videos. Google Scholar, hyperopic defocus mainly being a thing, where your eye is responding to this, the light being too far back in your eye, and it continues elongating. A continually elongating eyeball means, in practical terms, that your vision appears to be getting worse, your distance vision becomes more blurred, right? And so if you had LASIK, that same stimulus continues, where it's nudging your eyeball to get longer, which is why it's entirely possible that after LASIK you get more myopia. Then they say, it's pretty common in their advertising, is get a touch-up and blah blah blah. I wouldn't recommend it. Like, it's already an invasive procedure, it's already risky. Look at the FDA website, they have a lengthy list of side effect risks, which are fairly alarming, especially the degree of potential risk you're facing. So if you got through one LASIK procedure okay and nothing bad happened, I would recommend not doing it again, because the same stimulus will persist again, right? So if you have a LASIK quote-unquote touch-up, your eyesight will still get worse, right? And now you've had two procedures and you're really taking chances with your long-term vision well-being when you're getting cut into your eye. So that's kind of the first really short version. If this makes you intrigued and you want to know more, link below again, endmyopia.org. The biology of what is causing increasing myopia is very well known in clinical science. There's a bazillion studies going back decades and decades. No surprise, no secret. Ophthalmology clinical journals discuss this all the time. So if you get LASIK, there's no miraculous save there, right? Like whatever bad habits you had continue persisting. Now, what do you do about it, right? Like, first of all, really short version here, I'm going to keep referring to links below because this is kind of a big topic, is if you do not want increasing myopia after you had LASIK, you really want to get into better habits, right? And unfortunately, that may involve something like reading glasses for your close-up, because you don't want to use, if you wear contact lenses or glasses, I always say do not ever use your distance glasses for close-up. So for when you're looking at your phone, worst case scenario, because that's pretty close to your face, or when you're looking at your computer screen for hours and hours at a time, that's where that stimulus happens the most, because you're closer, right? So that lens in front of your eye, the tendency to move the light further back in your eye is more notable to your eye, so it's more likely to increase in length. That whole hyperopic defocus thing happens, the stimulus happens the most in close-up, where you have too much correction for the distance, basically. So when you wear glasses or contact lenses, all you have to do is reduce the diopters for close-up, right? So you're wearing a lower correction pair of glasses when you're staring at your screen, as opposed to when you're outside and you're using distance vision and you need that full amount of correction for distance vision. For close-up vision, you need less correction. If you had LASIK and it got you up all the way back to 20/20, now that's like wearing your distance glasses for close-up, and there is no super great fix for this other than wearing plus lenses, reading glasses, like 1 diopter, 1.5 diopters, whatever it is that you need, to where when you look at your screen, at your screen distance, you get a little bit of blur. Again, links below. It's really worthwhile digging into this further, but you want to affect your distance to where the effective diopters of your LASIK procedures are reduced by about 1 to 1.5 diopters for close-up, because you have 1 to 1.5 diopters too much of correction when you're looking at your screen. And if this is a lot to take in, maybe rewatch this video, check out the links below. This is pretty important stuff, and I'm really summarizing a ton of biology into a short video, just kind of trying to get you started on this subject. But that's a thing you need to do. You either need to make an extreme reduction in your close-up time, or you need to work at screens further away, right? Like whether you have your computer on a TV screen where you get enough distance where your LASIK procedure, the diopters that you got, are not as much of a negative effect, or you project a screen, or whatever you need to do to get the distance higher, or you may need to experiment with plus lens, which gets into a whole bunch of other topics. If you have side effects from that, obviously discontinue the use. I can't give you medical advice. Reading glasses are sold over the counter, so there's no prescription advice here of any kind. It's something you would experiment with a little bit and come to your own conclusion, and if necessary, consult a specialist, right? Like, don't take advice from a random internet stranger. I'm giving you only what a possible recourse is to what's happening in the biology, right? Like, you want to reduce that unfortunate minus stimulus that you're getting when you're close up with that full LASIK correction, right? So plus lenses are one potential fix. Not ever using phone screens or more for more than a minute or two, and having all of your other content projected or on a TV screen or anything that's a few meters away from you at least, is a great idea. And then active focus, which is another big topic, link below. Challenging your eyesight is very important. And the least ideal thing is starting to wear glasses again after LASIK. But if you're already wearing glasses again after LASIK as you're watching this, then the same thing applies that we discuss in endmyopia.org, link below, in great detail. You can again reduce your myopia back to 20/20 as of your LASIK correction. It's not going to address any axial elongation of your eyeball that's in your eyeball that's behind that LASIK. So if you're concerned about axial elongation, if you've read some of the studies of the dramatic risk increase in getting things like retinal detachment and lattice degeneration and all kinds of medical conditions that I can't discuss, but that you can certainly look up online, risk factors increase dramatically with high myopia, and not because of the myopia, but because of your eyeball having grown longer. That elongation that's hidden behind the LASIK, we can't address. And it's a controversial topic, certainly. I'm saying you can reduce the axial length of your eyeball by reducing your myopia, which clinical science supports and various studies are suggesting is the case. Controversy, of course, but whatever it is behind the LASIK, like if you had a -5 diopter correction before LASIK and then you got that reversed and you had that amount of axial elongation, like you had 1 millimeter of axial elongation, that will be there. Like we can't fix that, unfortunately. But you can certainly get back to 20/20 as far as your LASIK experience is concerned with the same exact approach that works with all other myopia stuff, because there's no difference between LASIK and glasses. So very long answer to a very short question. I apologize about the ramble. People watch these videos sometimes. I had no idea about myopia before, so they're new to this kind of a big topic. Really important is that you're addressing the close-up, right? Like if you're seeing 20/20 after LASIK, any amount of screen time, especially the closer that screen is really creating a stimulus that is gonna cause ciliary muscle spasm, so your focusing muscle will spasm, and in the long term may cause axial elongation of your eyeball. The LASIK people will tell you this, and I honestly don't know why, because this is not me saying this. If you go to scholar.google.com and type in eye axial elongation, or more importantly, lens-induced myopia, you'll have tens of thousands of search results discussing how minus lenses cause increasing myopia, and LASIK is the same as a minus lens. So it's completely well known that these things are a risk factor for increasing myopia, which you're not told by anybody, unfortunately. But to reverse it, you can reverse it. Lots of people have reversed it back again to their just after they had LASIK levels. You're gonna have to have better habits, and you're gonna have to take extra steps. Unfortunately, if you only have glasses or contact lenses, then it's an easy fix, relatively. It's time consuming, but it's not difficult, right? Like you can reverse your myopia. If you're at 20/20 with LASIK, it is like as if you're wearing your full correction glasses, so we can't reduce the diopter for close-up without something like plus lenses, or with minimizing the close-up time. Or distance, mainly. I should script these things so they're not such giant rambles. Hopefully this is helpful, and I strongly recommend you take care of your eyes. If you Google LASIK complications, you're gonna find a lot of stories of problems that are much more significant than your eyesight getting worse again. This you can always deal with better habits and just adjusting some of your day-to-day. You can stop your eyes from getting worse, and you can reverse some of that new myopia with just careful planning and just being smart about what you're doing with your eyes. So hopefully this is helpful. If you liked it, click thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more of these, and let me know your questions, because I make these videos largely based on questions and the frequency of questions as they're being repeated, telling me that you're curious about stuff. I can't always give one-on-one advice, certainly, because I get so much email. Try my best. See you next one.